Hello, welcome to Undisputed Boxing. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. It's prediction time and a bit of a breakdown for next week's fight. Conor Benn steps up again against Samuel Vargas. Samuel Vargas will be known for his recent fight against Virgil Ortiz, the prospect from Golden Boy. And he also lost a points decision against Amir Khan, I think maybe a couple of years ago. I think in Amir Khan's return fight. I think that was after the Jungle. So yeah, I think I did actually predict that this would be a good fight after his last fight. Conor Benn beat Formella, and I did say that somebody like a Samuel Vargas would be a good test for him, a step up, and kind of low risk. So yeah, how do you? I can do the prediction first if you want. But yeah, how do you see this one going? Do you think? How do you see it going?
Well, he's also lost against Garcia and Spence.
Yes.
I think he's drawn one or two as well. So he's got form for losing to the top guys, basically.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's a little bit of how much. It's one of those things of he's not a top guy. He's kind of that tier before you break into the top guys.
Like a gatekeeper.
And is Ben good enough? And it's one of those questions, really. I mean, he's not. I think he's 31, but he's had quite a lot of fights. Not a high KO ratio. Got knocked out in his last. I think it was his last fight. And it's even not old. It's like how much has he got left? And Ben's very young, So that's the kind of question, really. But Ben's never been at this level. I mean, his last fight was quite a big step up, but this is then another one.
Yeah, this is definitely another step up, and I mean, he has been in with way more sort of much higher class opposition. Obviously, he's lost most of those fights when he has stepped up, but really experienced guy, and I think it's going to be a very good test for Conor Benn. I'm still not convinced on Conor Benn's power at this weight class, and he's going to be undersized, I think, against some of the top guys in the division. But I do think that he does have the potential to stop people, but more on kind of pressure and throwing combinations and just throwing just stopping them on their feet. I don't think he's got that concussive knockout power. So yeah, but I actually think it's going to be potentially a really good fight. I think they're really going to sort of trade. I mean, Conor Benn does still have some of those kind of vulnerabilities. He still gets tagged quite easy, and Samuel Vargas does like to get on the inside. I think he's going to try and rough him up, but I'd probably see it as a sort of a 12-round barn burner. But I think Conor Benn will probably shade it in points. I think maybe Vargas will pick up some of those middle rounds when Ben takes takes a couple of rounds off. I don't know if I could see him stopping him. I think it'll be a points win, semi comfortable, but he'll have some uncomfortable moments in the fight, I think, which will be good. It'll be a good test for him. Yeah, that's my prediction. What's yours?
I'm going to go Vargas.
Are you?
No, not really. Then, didn't it? You're like, yes.
I know. Well, I think we're a level pecking now on the predictions.
On both very low scores. You covered it off, really. I think it'll go exactly that way.
Yeah.
I think it'll be tight. He may have some difficult moments. He does get caught, and I think if he's in against a puncher, I know he's got a decent chin on him at Ben. He's lucky he's got a good chin on him. But yeah, I just he's going to get caught, and I think he'll lose some rounds because of that. And I think I think it'll be close. I won't even be surprised if it's split decisions.
Yeah.
And I think you're right as well. He will start off well. He'll go into a lull, and then he'll kind of come out. But again, he's still developing. So and every time I see him, he seems to improve. So if he's improved again, we may see a little bit less, a little bit better defensive, going on. So we'll see. I am with my prediction. I am assuming a bit of an improvement again because he didn't have much of an amateur, didn't he? So he is learning literally on the job as he's going up.
Yeah.
If he does beat him, I would suggest he tries to hang around this level for a couple more fights.
Yeah, I agree.
Going in with anything.
I agree.
Big boys.
Yeah, I think Conor Benn, along with Lawrence Okoli, between those two, I think that they're probably the most improved fighters of the last 2 or 3 years out of the UK. Anyway, I think he's really come on leaps and bounds, as is Okoli. Here's a question for you: if because obviously he's doing the usual, he's calling out Kell Brook and Amir Khan now that the Josh Kelly fight has gone. And if Amir Khan doesn't if he doesn't fight Kell Brook later this year, I just wonder if there'll be enough money in that fight for Amir Khan to just have it. Because I think he's openly talked about having one more fight. And him against Conor Benn, whilst there's not really much on the line and not much to gain for Amir Khan, I think he's just looking for a good payday now. And I wonder if that would be a good payday. And if that was to happen, how would you see that going?
I don't see it happening yet. I think it could be one next year. I think Ben probably has to get this scalp and another maybe. But I don't know. I just don't know what Khan's got left.
No.
I just don't know. Seeing fight regularly. I mean, I think Khan a few years ago, I probably have back him because I just think he's got the longer reach, the speed, and he'll just keep away from Ben. But if he get clocked, Ben's lack of power, one punch power, probably means he'll be all right.
Yeah.
So I think he'll get by with his reflexes and his speed, and he'll be, kind of that'll be going on, and Ben won't be able to kind of get, so I think it'll be a points win.
For Khan.
But for Khan, yeah.
Mm.
So I don't know if Khan's that quick anymore.
Yeah.
I can't think of the last time I've seen like Khan in and against any good opposition that you can make a good judgment. And he's at that age now where he is going to be deteriorating, and speed is going to deteriorate one of the first. So I don't know. It's with a normal Khan, I'd say I'm pretty confident of a point win for Khan, but I'd say I'd still probably lean towards him, but there'll be a deterioration maybe kicking in now, and that may give Ben a chance. I'd like to see if Ben wins this. I don't actually know how much of a is it a level if he wins this fight, is it a kind of a similar level? But I've got his name now, but the guy that beat Kelly,
David Avanesian.
Yeah, I mean, if he won this and Neeson, is that a step back down, or is it a kind of a step to the side?
No, I think that would be a reasonable step. I think that would be a step up from, if you go Samuel Vargas to David Avanesian, that's a big step up. And it'll be for the European belt. Yeah. Because Avanesian is probably ranked in the top 10 now. And I think Samuel Vargas on BoxRec, I think he's like 80 something. So it would be a big step up, I think. Yeah.
Who beat Vargas last?
Virgil Ortiz. That was last year. Virgil Ortiz now I think he's in the top 10 as well for the welterweights.
Vargas is someone that used to be in the top 10 and fallen away, isn't it?
No, I don't know if you're not thinking of Jesse Vargas. This is another one, Samuel Vargas.
No, but the people he's fought, he must have been at a decent level at some stage.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, he probably got maybe into the top 20. I mean, you got to remember this is welterweight. You've got Thurman, Spence, Danny Garcia, Porter, Crawford.
Yeah, but he's fought Garcia, Spence, Khan. You know, I don't know. Has he ever fought for a belt?
Probably a contender at some point. Yeah, yeah.
Has he ever fought for a belt?
Yeah, well, he would have done. If he fought Spence, that would have been for a title.
I think he's fought Spence ages ago, though, before the Brook fight.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think he's world title challenger for sure, I would think. If you fought Danny Garcia, that would have But yeah, if to answer my question, if he was to fight Khan like later this year, I would probably back Conor Benn. I think because Khan never looked good against pressure fighters. If you remember the Lamont Peterson fight, who was a real big pressure fighter, and he was just on Amir Khan's chest like all night, and he just looked very, very uncomfortable. And he actually got a couple of points deducted for pushing, because he just, his punching power wasn't enough to kind of hold off Lamont Peterson. He just kept on pressuring and pressuring. And even against Luis Cazalo, when Amir Khan fought him, he just looked very uncomfortable against a pressure fighter. And I think Conor Benn, with the right tactics, if he just put it on him, just try and stay in the pocket and put loads of pressure on him, I think he'd probably win. Against a Khan now that's been inactive, hasn't fought since 2019 against Billy Dibb, which was a very, very low opposition.
I think that's the question, really.
Yeah.
It just depends how much Khan's fallen away.
What he's got left.
But
yeah.
Ben may look awesome in this fight, and then we're just like, actually, Ben would be favourite now.
Yeah. Yeah.
One dropping and one going up, and you don't know the speeds. So
yeah,
that's the thing. All right. There's not tons on the undercard, is there? So should we move on to any bits of news?
Yes. News.
So talking of Khan, there's the boring topic of him and Brook has arisen again, and normally steer clear of this because it seems to just be going around all the time. But I did see an interview. I think he was in Dubai for the fights.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Sorry, Khan, and first time I've seen him speak about it for a while, and he was saying, he's sent a message to Eddie Hearn and seeing, what can be done, and then says he'll do him in 6. Whether he's sniffing that, Brook's done now and now's the right time to face him. I still think it's a risk, and it also depend on what weight. But it was probably be looking at him going, he got taken out with not not the hardest punch in the world. I reckon I could do him.
Yeah.
I still think it's a massively dangerous fight for Khan. I think it could backfire. I don't think Brook's finished. And I think if it's not at 147, he's in big problems. But we'll see. We've been here before, haven't we? And it couldn't. It's not been able to happen in the past. So I'm not so confident during a pandemic it's going to be easily done.
Yeah, I mean, it is still a fun fight, and if it was to be made, 100% we're watching it. And if it's on pay-per-view, you pay for it. I mean, the build-up as well, because there is genuine needle there. It's just a shame that they're probably less than 50% of their peak, the peak of their powers, I would say. Especially Brook at 147, he's maybe even less than 50%. So,
Yeah. I wonder if Brook now will just go, I'll do it at 147. I'm up for one more fight as well, kind of thing. And I wonder if, before all the sensible career thoughts, maybe that's why this might happen. There's no sensible career thoughts anymore. Like, 147, I could, it's almost like this is the last fight I'm going to have. And if I lose, I'll lose. Yeah. And if I win, I might have but if I lose, I lose it. It doesn't matter. Because it's like, the money won't be like it was. No. I remember Hearn saying that. Because you'd think as well, they both have warm-up fights. Especially Khan. But he might go, sod it, if I lose, I lose kind of thing about the money. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Garcia, Fortuna, I'll let you lead that one.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't really know that much about Fortuna. I know he's got a couple of losses on his record. It's such a strange situation how Ryan Garcia just seems to be like the main man of the division. Everybody is following what Ryan Garcia is doing. He's not even fought for a world title yet.
I know, I thought that. He's acting as well. You see him on interviews. He's really childish, and he's like a kid. And he's not actually won a belt yet. He's not acting like he's like, he's two-weight world champion or something. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I don't know. The lightweight division is very, very frustrating for me because you've got four or five really, really good fights that could be made there, and they just seem 1 million miles away from being ever, even for next year. They don't seem very close. I'd say the closest of them all probably is depending on what Teofimo Lopez does with Top Rank, and obviously there's a lot of animosity there now, and obviously his next fight is being on Triller. If Eddie Hearn makes a play for him, whether Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney is possible for maybe early next year, if they can get him out of his contract. Because it seems like Ryan Garcia, I mean, the fight is there for him if he wants it against Devin Haney, and they don't seem that keen on it at all. It's not even been talked about. No offers made. I think Haney have made offers. Haney side have made offers, but doesn't seem to be sort of forthcoming.
And I think the danger is that the longer they leave it, the better Haney gets, because I think he's potentially the weakest one, or he might not be the weakest one, but I think he's the one with less big win on his belt.
Yeah.
But he's fighting. Who's his next fight against? Linares.
Jorge Linares, yeah.
So, but again, a slightly older Linares and past his best, but that's still another good learning fight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the it's definitely on Ryan Garcia's side as to why that's not happening. But the interesting thing with that, they've got mutual respect for each other, and they fought each other 3 times in the amateurs. And, excuse me, I think Garcia won the first 2, but Devin Haney won the 3rd one. So one of the very last fights that they both had as amateurs, and I just wonder if that has planted a seed in Garcia's mind that Haney has actually got better, and now he's kind of got his number. I mean, I could be, I'm just, spitballing it, but I think that might be maybe why he's not going for it. But yeah, it's a real shame.
It's daft as well, because he's like, oh, it's not a big enough fight, and blah, 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 and all this. For the WC belt, you're not even
Well, it's 10 times the fight that Luke Campbell was. If that's a big enough fight, then, it's a way bigger fight.
In other news, John Fury's put out a frustrating video. I don't really understand it. I'm not sure really what's going on anymore with this. They just keep saying they're having 2 fights. I think Hearn's frustrated because he's traveling around the world speaking to people, and you've got John Fury saying nothing's been signed and all this stuff. So I don't know if John. I think John Fury sometimes does things himself without even Tyson wanting him to do things. I'm not really sure how much to read into it all, and that. As far as I'm aware, there's no cause for concern. They've signed stuff. They give themselves 30 days. We're not past 30 days. We're probably halfway to it. So there doesn't seem to be in it. I don't know what John Fury's flapping about. If we're in a month from now, I can see him getting frustrated.
Yeah, I do think it's more likely to be in July or maybe even August now, though. I think it's slipping back at least a month, isn't it? I don't think they're fighting in June.
I think July. I think they've basically said if they can't do it in July, it's not going to happen, because they both want 2 fights, especially Fury's said fights this year. So if you're going to do that, you need to fight in July, because if they it's done by say April, by the end of this month, then you've still got time to do a lesser fight in July.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need it boxed off by the end of this month.
Yeah, I'm still optimistic it'll happen. Yeah.
Pacquiao and Crawford, more positive news I'm hearing, but I'm seeing nothing's fully done yet. That'd be a great fight.
Yeah, that would be a good fight. That's actually got a lot of merit as well, I think, that fight, because I saw Mike Coppinger commented on it as well, and apparently they've already reserved a pay-per-view slot, and it'll probably be in the Middle East again. I say again, like it's another fight for the Middle East, in Dubai or Abu Dhabi. That is, that's an awesome fight. That's an interesting fight. I don't know why I can't see why there'd be any backlash from that. It's almost like a lot of people are just kind of fed up with Manny Pacquiao now, why he's still fighting. But if he still can, do it at the top level, why not? I mean, he's almost had like 3 careers all in one. When you think of like all those wars that he had with Eric Morales and Barrera, it's like nearly 20 years ago, and he's now fighting, still fighting at the top level. It's pretty amazing, really.
Yeah, no, it'd be awesome. The final thing is just, me, I like to give you a bit of a Yank update, what they're doing on the other side of the pond, and they're now getting slightly obsessed with Andy Ruiz. They seem to be jumping ship a little bit from Wilder, and now, looking at all the videos of Ruiz, going, look at his head movement. It's just like Canelo, and he looks amazing. I mean, I have no doubt he'll look better. I've no doubt he'll look trim, but I don't suddenly think he's going to be absolutely chiseled and amazing head movement. And anyone can have amazing head movement when they're doing head exercises. It's, can you do that all the way through a fight?
Yeah.
No.
No, when you're getting excited about bag work or pad work, it's a little bit false, isn't it? Let's see what he's like in the ring. I mean, I actually think Andy Ruiz has always had good head movement. Like his head movement and his footwork for a big guy has always been pretty good. I remember when he fought Joseph Parker in New Zealand. I actually thought Ruiz won that fight. I thought he got a rough decision. Yeah, so he's.
I think the question is, how much better could it be if he wasn't a fat sod?
Yeah.
And he wasn't, to be fair, it wasn't that good against Joshua. The fight. He's probably a bit better in the first one, but he's no good. I think he's good at maneuvering away from power shots because he did that. That's how he caught Joshua. But he's no good in a fast jab. And I think that's what they need to work on.
Yeah. Well, how old is Andy Ruiz now?
I think he's slightly younger than Joshua. I think he's like very early 30s.
31.
Yeah.
Which is youngish for a heavitweight. I mean, he's got a good 4 or 5 years ahead of him, hasn't he? If he starts,
he'll go again, and I imagine he'll go again, and he'll probably have a couple of fights this year, and it's just he's gonna be one of these snooping around a belt when they get fragmented at some stage. I just don't think PBC will throw him and Wilder in together. They'll try and keep them two apart, and then when the belts come, to throw them to the different belts.
Yeah,
but unfortunately, I'd like to see those two fight. Who's the best in America? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll happen.
No.
Well, that probably won't happen either.
I'd be more excited about the there's some decent prospects coming out of the US, isn't there? You've got Frank Sanchez, who's, well, I say America, he's Cuban. He's with the Eddie Reynoso camp, isn't he?
Yeah.
And is it Jamaican?
Yeah. I think it's to anyone who's coming through. It's quite early to get too excited about anyone. It's no one's had a real signature win that you can go, right, they've arrived.
Yeah, that's true.
I was always gutted about Baby Miller. I thought it was great for the division, and big unit. Probably not the most talented, but just huge, and threw a lot of punches and that, and could just talk smack, and it was great. But he did what he did, didn't he? So
yeah. Has he failed another drugs test, didn't he? Is he on a 2-year ban?
I mean, they don't really mean much, do they? I'm surprised he hasn't popped around recently. I thought we'll hear from him again.
Yeah.
But he could be, as it comes back in a few years, massively overweight, more than he was anyway. No drugs and just look terrible and get cleaned out by someone not that good.
Yeah.
All right.
Just staying with the heavyweights, have you been hearing any rumors of Vladimir Klitschko coming back?
I think I always hear them every now and then. But
I know, but it's resurfaced again for this year because there's a lot of talk that there would be, if he was to come back this year and win a title, or next year and win a title, then he equals George Foreman. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we spoke about this, didn't we? I'm sure we might have spoken about that.
I don't think so.
Possibly. I don't know. Quite stacked now, the heavyweight division. Who do you fancy against? And the belts aren't. Klitschko, you have no idea how good he is anymore. So let's go through it. You won't back him against Joshua. I think Joshua's got better, and he's probably got worse. You won't back him against Fury. I wouldn't. I'd probably back Dillian White now. I'd probably back Ruiz. I'd probably back Wilder.
Yeah.
All on the basis that he's going to have deteriorated a lot. He almost needs a soft touch to win a title.
Yeah.
But like a Char or someone like that, but they don't really exist.
No.
I think Dubois would beat him. Sorry, not Dubois.
Steady.
But yeah. What's his name? Who beat Dubois? Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because he's got chin as well. So there's
Yeah.
plenty of people. If Kalnaki, if he had got a belt, maybe he's someone he could beat.
Yeah. We'll see. All right.
I mean, look at Povetkin and how much he's deteriorated now, and he's been training.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I'm not sure if I'd be that overexcited about Klitschko coming back, to be honest. It's not like a Mike Tyson coming back. It's Klitschko, who was, king of the jab and hold. Was never that pretty, he was one of those who just got the result, always got the result, never.
I think he'd be even more like that now. I think he'd be
Yeah.
even, because he trusted his chin. That's why he was fought the way he did. He reinvented his style through Manny Stewart to kind of protect his chin. And he'd probably think, well, I've got less speed now, probably less resistance. So I'll be even more huggy and jabby.
Yeah.
No. Rightio.
All right. We'll see you next week for the review of Conor Benn, and then we'll also do a prediction video on Demetrius Andrade against Liam Williams. And then if you want, we could do one on Ben Askren and Jake Paul, the big one.
I'll leave that one for you.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening.